Tell me a little bit about the research that you and your colleagues have just completed, the Ready to Learn. What does it mean to be ready to learn?
That was the first question we wanted to address. And ready to learn means a process where kids gain the skills that they need to be ready to go to school and learn the material there. What that means is not just knowing their alphabet, not just being able to count, but also being able to self-regulate, to control their behavior, to have the social and emotional skills that they need to be successful in school, and also to have sufficient health and skills, physical skills, so that they can write with a pencil and draw.
What age are you talking about these skills starting to develop?
These skills start to develop when children are born, very early on. You know, they become interested in faces and parents can talk to them and they learn what's going on in their home. We've been measuring this from ages 3 to 5, and that's when the skills start to be measurable. And the interest is in governors and other stakeholders at the state level are very interested in knowing how preschool children in their state are doing. Everyone now recognizes the importance of brain development from birth forward, but measuring and understanding how children in a given state are doing over time, so that we have a consistent measure over time and you can really track how kids are doing, but you can also care, if you're so inclined, you can compare across states.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you and your colleagues went about measuring whether kids were ready or not to learn?
We have been working with a talented team at the Maternal and Child Health Bureau, the Health Services Resource Administration, who do a survey, the National Survey of Children's Health. And it asks parents all kinds of questions about children's health, but beyond that, their development more broadly. And it was a request from people at the state level who wanted to know how the young children in their state are doing. And so they requested that a measure be developed. And we have been very fortunate in being able to work on developing this measure. And it's not something that you do in the blink of an eye. And we've been working on it for several years, and we expect to have a final measure in about a year.
Do you have some preliminary indications from those years of looking at it? What are you and your colleagues finding?
Clearly, being healthy, ready for school is something that starts early, and it's broad. Being ready for school is a broad construct. It means, of course, that you have academic skills growing, but it also means being able to self-regulate, to sit still in a classroom. It means to have social skills so that you can share and take turns. It means having emotional skills so that you are concerned and understanding of other children. And it means having enough of the physical skills that you can write, for example, and draw pictures and do the tasks that will be required of you in school.
What can parents do to kind of get their kids ready for that first step into school?
Well, parents are their children's first teachers. And because becoming ready for school starts when children are infants, they learn about expressions and they learn that gradually about language. So I think it's very important to recognize that the process of learning starts very young. And then it builds. As children become older, they become capable of acquiring more complicated skills, more complicated language, the ability to express themselves and understand better what another person might be thinking. So encouraging that, interacting with kids, having conversations. We certainly find that routines are helpful, a routine bedtime and routine meals, eating together, but then having healthy food and conversation at those meals. So it's how you do it, not just that you do it. It's very important to talk to children about their concerns, their feelings, their questions, and their activities as well.
You had mentioned routine being important. Why is that important, especially for this age?
Well, routines in general are very important to children. I think every parent knows that children like routines. So that part of it is having routines that are supportive of children's development, that they understand what's going to happen, but they also eat a good dinner every night, and they look forward to having their family together and putting the effort into making that happen. It's hard to do everything during COVID. We all understand that, but in some ways parents have an opportunity to really do a lot with their being in the house more, being in the house almost all the time. They really are important teachers for their children. And one thing is very simple, and it's conversation.
It sounds like a simple thing. Talk to your children, but are parents really doing enough of that? What is the best way to have that conversation with kids?
It varies a lot. Some parents don't talk to their children a lot. They're kind of on the internet or TV. Other parents turn it off and really focus on their child. And they speak in clear sentences. So it's a real conversation, and they listen. They don't just lecture. They listen to their children. And obviously you do that differently with an adolescent than you do it with a 4-year-old. But having the basics of that are the same in the sense that you're listening. You're not just lecturing, and you're trying to speak in complete sentences.
How can you make that an active conversation?
I think if parents really focus on their child, look at their child, they're not doing 3 other things at the same time. They're not on their iPhone and just, mentioning vaguely that some kind of question about their child, but they're really listening, they're really focusing, they're asking follow-up questions, they're commenting, and they're really addressing the concerns that kids have. I mean, this is a hard time for children as well as adults. And so really being willing to listen hard and have a conversation that answers their questions to the extent one can.
You had mentioned that social aspect of it. That tough right now? What can parents do?
Yeah, it's true that social interaction, learning to share and take turns, that kind of thing is very hard to do when a child's not in a group setting. If they have siblings, they can do that. If they are interacting with another family, they can do that with another family. They can also do it with their parents. They can be kind to their pets, take care of pets, help in a variety of ways. Do things that need to be done in the household. Some kinds of sharing can be done on the internet as well. If the older children are in some kind of a program, it might be a dance class, something like that, a choir, but they're doing it safely online. And of course, the parent needs to observe and make sure it's all going well. But that's another place where you can learn to take your turn, ask questions, participate in a group activity.
What do you want parents to know, especially right now during these difficult times, about this time with kids and the best way to really help support them in those preschool years?
Well, I want parents to know that they're really important teachers in their children's lives, and that being ready for school starts before children ever walk through the door of a school, and that it isn't just the memorization of the alphabet or numbers, but it is social behavior is really important, and the child's emotional state, if they're anxious, if they're worried about something, that they be concerned about others. So if parents can be engaged and help their child develop those social and emotional and self-regulation skills, then kids will nevertheless benefit, grow, develop well, and build the skills that they will need eventually when they are in school again.
Is there any early data or any early results that you and your colleagues are looking at that you are able to share?
We've used the early measure of Healthy and Ready to Learn that we developed to look at children who are from different situations, some who sleep 9 or more hours a night and some who do not. And children who get a lot of sleep, who have that bedtime routine, do better in terms of being healthy and ready to learn. Similarly, children who don't spend a lot of time online. That's hard to do given COVID, but limiting it, controlling it, making sure it's high quality interaction. Children who spend less time on the internet or television do better in terms of their being healthy and ready for school.
Is there anything I didn't ask you, Kris, about this report that you would want to make sure that people know?
Being healthy and ready for school means that children will probably do better academically, but they'll also be more successful in school in general and be happier, and that augurs well for the rest of life. So it is a very important time in the life of a child.
So I guess you can't underestimate that period before they go to preschool, can you?
Early childhood is extremely important for children's development, yes, both in terms of their academic success, but also in terms of their social and emotional success.